In days past, we used to use something called RPC, or remote procedure calls. And these remote procedure calls were responsible for allowing us to run something that was located on a different system. If you had a process that you were calling from a client, and from that client you wanted to run something that was located on a different system, you made a remote procedure call. Well, we've come a long way since that time. The RPCs of days past were very limiting. They involved a lot of code, a lot of testing, and they were usually limited to internal operations. There was no internet to speak of. And if you wanted to remote to a system that wasn't internal to your network, well, good luck. You needed to come up with something very creative to get that accomplished and very custom. APIs changed all that. Application programming interfaces made it possible for developers to create just one function, just one process located anywhere, whether it was internal or external to the organization, providing answers. Yes, answers, if you will, responses to the requests coming in from anywhere. And APIs can be scaled, which means that if you wanted to send hundreds or thousands of requests, you could do so. Initially, this was relatively easy because it was being done internally for an organization and its own network. This changed quite a bit. And what I mean by that is we wanted to have an API gateway that would serve as, well, a central resource for allowing our web-based clients, our mobile applications, our external systems to gain access to our REST APIs, or APIs if you will. Here, for example, I have a inventory updates application. Maybe the client is going to gain access to that inventory updates application from some web-based GUI or from some external system or mobile application trying to find out how much of some item is available on hand. Maybe a employee is trying to find out scheduling information. Maybe a developer is trying to figure out what the image build status is on a Windows image that was deployed perhaps several hours ago. The concept of API gateway is not new at all. And what I mean by that is you are really taking some application coming from somewhere, providing it a central management way to gain access to some service or some function that is going to be responding on the other side. That is not a big deal if you really think about it. The real trick is the way with which the API gateway manages itself, because we are talking about perhaps hundreds of thousands of requests coming from here, if you know what I mean. Think about the various different API functions that you engage or work with all the time that you perhaps don't even realize. How many times have you gone to an online store and essentially looked for stuff, found stuff, put stuff in your cart, found shipping related information, cost information, when you need to pay, payment options? All of those things are API responses on the back end. They can be. And if they are happening in the millions of responses and millions of requests per second, that needs to be dealt with in a timely manner. I cannot send out a payment request. I cannot send out a request to purchase something that is going to take several minutes to respond. So the gateway has a lot of work in its hands, and it does it very efficiently. So as far as API goes, there is a Azure Portal. This is where you define the API, you define the policies, you also define the users that are going to be using it. Remember, this is in the cloud. You need to restrict who's going to be able to do what. There's a developer portal. This is where you define your API keys, secure keys that are going to be utilized by users to connect to them. This is where you test the API and you get analytics about the API. How many are being called, where they're being used, how they're being processed, how long they're taking. Then there is the API gateway. This is responsible for the routing, the verification, enforcing quotas, making sure that you're only allowed to do and perform so many calls, and the logging that goes along with it as well. API management, Azure API management. Take the complexity away. Implement Azure API